What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Restoration Rundown Podcast, the podcast that's dedicated to you, the restoration business owner. My name is Ben Riccardi from Ironclad Restoration Marketing, and I'm the author of the No BS Guide to Internet Marketing for Restoration Contractors. Now, the Restoration Rundown is your source for everything related to managing and owning your restoration business, from bringing on special guests and sharing success stories to taking deep dives with our team here at Ironclad Restoration Marketing into all of the online channels that you need to be tapping into to get visibility for your restoration business and get more leads from the internet. We've got you covered. So buckle up and get ready for the rundown. Kaboom! What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Restoration Rundown Podcast. I'm Ben Riccardi, your humble host, and I'm excited about today's episode. This is an episode we've been trying to schedule since like RIA in April, and we're in the middle of August right now. I'm not sure exactly when this is going to air, but sometime here in August. So that's quite a long lead time, but I think it's a great episode because with the advancement of technologies out there and all the different platforms that are popping up everywhere, I'm sure you can all relate to all the different changes. You know, people are worried about AI and they're having issues. Everything comes back down to a core thing: is operating your business, right? And estimating and getting paid and all these things are always going to be something that we are going to be struggling with, especially in your restoration business or any kind of home services business. So speaking of trade shows, you may have noticed an outlier out there, specifically with their really cool, interesting t-shirts running around there. It's going to be our special guest today. So if you're guessing on who it is, you're probably right. If you know the t-shirt that I'm talking about, no, not an orange blazer, nothing outlandish, just something very eye-catching. And me being a marketing agency owner, I always attract to certain kind of branding ideas, and I really love it. Now, this is a past guest on our show. He's got a wealth of knowledge. He's really connected in the industry. So I want you to help me welcome Mr. Jeff Diem from Elkmont Estimates. And now we're going to just do the big reveal here, LEVLR. Jeff, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you, Ben? Thanks for having me back.
Thanks, man. So tell me about the t-shirt before we introduce who you are real quick. That was so cool at RIA. I saw that. And that's like, I mean, I saw you from across the way and was like, that's cool.
You know, RIA was awesome. It was a big reveal for us. You know, I brought Elkmont there also. We had a booth, but I couldn't afford two booths. And so I thought, how can I attract eyes? And it was, let's come up with a t-shirt. So it started off as an AI designed t-shirt, which fell completely on its face. So I ended up having one of my designers build it. And then we had the QR code on the back of the shoulders, between the shoulder blades. And I got told afterwards that I was just kind of a ghost running around. Like, people would say, hey, you got to go talk to that guy in the teal shirt, but I couldn't be found because I was over in that corner.
Yeah.
When I come back to the experience in September, I'll wear it again.
Awesome. You got to bring me one. I'll wear it for you too. We'll be there in Savannah. Oh, the experience in Vegas. Yeah, that's coming up soon, huh? Jeez. Yeah, I'll be there. So anyways, so for anybody that wasn't an RIA or any of the other events or really don't know who you are, might not have listened to the episode that we tuned in, you do own and operate a company called Elkmont Estimates. Why don't you give me a little bit about who you are, your background, talk to me about Elkmont, and then we'll go from there and we'll talk about all the new exciting things you got coming up.
Sure. So I've been in the restoration industry about a decade now. I got started, I've got a construction background, but I used to own a Paul Davis office for a number of years. I really enjoyed that, but after it ran its course, I took a little time off. And like so many people that have left restoration, we found ourselves back in restoration because it's somewhat of an addicting industry in some form or another. And, you know, it was during COVID. I was asked by a friend of mine in Denver, hey, can I do some estimating for him? And I said, sure. And we were all locked in our houses. So I did it all remotely and got projects approved. And I thought, hey, I wonder if anybody else needs help with this. And this was kind of the birth of remote estimating, 5 years ago. Really, I didn't have any competition then. I got plenty of it now. Maybe I had a little bit then, but just didn't know much about it. And it's just steadily grown. We've got, almost 200 clients now around the country that we work with for their estimating and claims closure. And it's fascinating. It continues to grow every single year. And I think outsourcing estimating for a variety of reasons is going to continue to grow just for business purposes on the owners and hiring and training and just so many reasons. But if you do it right, it can be really, really beneficial to the owner, the restoration owner.
No, I can totally see that. So talk to me a little bit about that. Implementing these types of things like remote estimating. I know a lot of the guys out there and ladies out there that are running these, like they keep all this stuff in-house most of the time. So do you see more of a benefit for people with the larger businesses or the smaller mom and pops? My brain immediately goes to, 1 to 2 man shows, 3 or 4 trucks on the road. Who's going to get the most benefit out of this?
The majority of our clients are probably doing 5 million in revenue or less. They seem to be doing MIT and reconstruction. Once they get above like the 5 million-ish range, they tend to have enough people dedicated to the role. When they're underneath that ceiling, you tend to find people that are writing and running, or mostly running and writing with their hair on fire, things like that. But also, depending on the size of the market that they're in, finding good estimators can be very, very challenging. And so it frequently comes to an admin who's just been going through a class and doesn't really know construction, or maybe has a WTR or something like that, or WRT, but doesn't really have any actual field experience. Like if you're in a smaller town in Minnesota or New Mexico or wherever, your pool of who you're pulling from is pretty limited, and you're sharing with others. Going from that sort of model to a remote estimating, I pull estimators, really, really good ones, from anywhere in the country. So I can pull them in more, keep them engaged, and you're not looking for somebody in-house. Plus, it's a feast-famine industry, right? And so if you are having to pay somebody a salary and you're not busy all the time, you can only clean so much equipment before it really starts to dig into your margins.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot. Me from the marketing perspective, these guys are like we're trying to keep plates spinning in the air, and estimating is huge. In my construction company, I mean, it's hard to keep up with the day-to-day and get bids out. Now our bids are slightly different, actually vastly different, doing full civil site scopes, but it's a lot. It would be nice, if we could trust people on our end to be able to do something like that. I definitely could see us utilizing a service like that, especially when we were, just kind of strapping on and going out there and doing everything ourselves initially, right? So you're out in the field 8 hours a day, back in the office, getting bid requests. You're trying to get your way in. You're buying your way into jobs for the first few to get, to build a name for yourself. So I could definitely see that remote being a huge benefit for people just starting out. So if people want to learn more about what you do in the remote estimating, I know you're an open book. I mean, you've been so gracious with your time every time we've talked, and when you were on this episode. Check out the episode beforehand that we did a couple years ago with Jeff on Elkmont Estimates. You can find that on Spotify, YouTube, anywhere that you find the Restoration Rundown. So I don't want to spend a ton of time with that, because man, you've got something new and huge, and something that seems like it's growing uncontrollably now with your new venture. So let's go ahead and before I do that, everybody, if you're watching this on YouTube, elkmontestimates.com is how you find out about the remote estimating if you're struggling with that, or if you have questions, or you just want to meet up with Jeff in Vegas and the experience coming up here in the beginning of September. I will say, if you do and you use them, somebody owes me a steak somewhere in Vegas, because I will be there looking for steaks. Anyway, so elkmontestimates.com. Jeff, talk to me about LEVLR. Why LEVLR? What is LEVLR? Why now? Who? Tell me all the details about what you've got going on with this.
Yeah, LEVLR was born from Elkmont Estimates. It was a tool that we built to help ourselves. And we started this before the AI boom, which has changed things.
Yes.
This AI boom of, it takes forever to manually compare an estimate. We've all gotten a comparative from a carrier, and they're just like, plop, here you go. Here's our comparative, and you're shorted 30% and who knows how many line items. And it is a completely manual task. For whatever reason, the entire industry uses, you can hardly see with my background here, but a pencil and a highlighter. And it's a very time-consuming process, number one. And number two, it is problematic in terms of human error. If you miss, and I've done this, if you miss, say, crawl space insulation, which that's the example that I use because I did it, it's gone. If you don't catch it, you're probably going to eat it. And so your time costs money, but also your money costs money. You can miss a couple items here and there and lose tens of thousands of dollars per year on just leakage. And so we designed the first tool where you upload individual Xactimate PDFs, and in a color-coded dashboard, it will show you. Somebody just told me today, it's like a coloring book so that you can easily understand it. Hey, these colors mean, this was removed. This color means that it was slightly different. Might be the same equipment decontamination charge, but you're losing $300, and you can expand to see why. And the objective is to not replace estimators. It's to augment them. It's to improve them, make them more effective in what they do, and give them additional insights they might not have otherwise readily have seen, so they can make decisions better.
Yeah, no, it's great. So why don't you walk me through, a few circumstances and who is this for? I mean, and what was the genesis of coming up with this outside of like this being just like a great idea? There had to be a little bit more to it. So walk me through that process and kind of where your head was at. Cause I know it's been a couple years since you were on, and I think we were 2 weeks away from having you back on to launch LEVLR like 2.5 years ago. And look, just like us trying to get you on here since April, it's been a little bit of a grind. So I'd love to hear that story of, the first inception of LEVLR, where it came from, and what challenges you faced in getting this thing rolled out the way you did, which, things like this take time. I'm fully aware because I've developed apps. I've done a lot of things like this. So I think that it'd be a great story to share with everybody, the ups and downs of getting this, because I do think it'll lend to the overall effectiveness of what you actually ended up launching at the end of the day.
Software is hard. I am not a tech person. I come from restoration. I come from construction. I come from helping people run their businesses. And if you're not a tech person, this is hard. When we launched this 2-something years ago, there was no ChatGPT or anything like that. And so it was all built around our code. It still is. But it was just different than what it is now. And to be fair and honest, the first version, it was not good at all. And so we had a number of people that, they bought it, they used it, gave us feedback, and they're like, good idea. This thing sucks. So we pulled off the market and we revamped it. It's gone through. We're on like generation 2. We got another generation 3 being tested right now, and it continuously improves based upon feedback. But the AI world has changed things for the better and for the worse at the same time. There's always the threat of like a ChatGPT takeover of the world or Grok takeover of the world, but we have not seen it, at least in the restoration world, be as much of a threat as one might think. In fact, I actually found it to be helpful in that when people first started using us, they were afraid of like the generic LLM model and how it would take over what we're doing. And give it enough time, we're now getting people coming back and say, yep, I tried the generic LLM. It didn't work at all for our needs. And while one could, in theory, upload 2 Xactimate PDFs, it just frankly doesn't work the way the restore needs it to be. It doesn't give it that last mile push and present the data that's important to a restoration company owner, or even someone that's using it. You're not needing to be trained on prompts or stuff like that. So I think the AI push is good as long as we're all careful with it.
Sure. And I've had, I think we've had like 3 episodes in the last couple months about, everything AI related, what the changes are coming, and it's moving at breakneck speeds. I personally think that we're in for a Terminator 2 Judgment Day type situation eventually. So I'm completely just turning my back on AI. I don't want nothing to do with it. I don't talk to it. I don't give it any info. No, I'm just kidding. I do utilize it, and I do think it's a great tool. I just think people overestimate the capabilities of certain things and how there's guys out there that really know how to leverage it properly, and people don't understand the amount of work that has to go in for you to train the AI to do what you need it to do, and vice versa. And you really need to understand what the end result is, because you're not playing checkers with AI. It's a chess move. So you've really got it. And you mentioned before working on that design. I've played around with trying to design some graphic stuff and just trying to like circumvent my design team and like look cool when I send an email out for something. And it's got to be one of the most frustrating things in the world is trying to get AI to design you like a picture. It's like, okay, you got it. It's right there. I just need you to make the nose smaller. And then they come out with a completely different thing that's like starting over from scratch. And it's super frustrating. So software is tough, especially when you come from the world. I've got a background in construction. So like everything, we've had to take the long road to get where we're at today. Yes. But I do think it's cool that this instance, and you showed me, some of the background and stuff. We were talking at RIA, how it looks and what's been going on. So talk to me a little bit about some and any kind of changes coming up with it. I know it's, since its inception and launch, things are changing. You mentioned you're on instance 2. What's coming down the pipeline? Is this only native to Xactimate stuff, or are you guys in integrating this with other platforms and softwares?
It's only native to Xactimate so far because they own the vast majority of the market.
Okay.
We are working on a stability option, but that is not within the next generation of it. The newest things are we have what we call room zone comparison. So like bathroom 1 to master bathroom, or primary bedroom to bathroom 1. We've always had the ability to override that. But we've also had a lot of feedback of, hey, people's brains want to go in numerical order versus room zone order. And so the ability for it to now go numerically, which sounds easy. It's actually kind of hard to do that. Will be there. Looking for Easter eggs, I call that. So, we currently look, document 1 versus document 2. Let's say you're the adjuster on document 2, you're the restorer on document 1. It'll show you now the Easter eggs that say the adjuster put in that you don't have in your document. Those are always helpful to learn from and maybe get you something extra. But I think the coolest one of all is going to be what we call stacking. So associated line items can be stacked together to learn the aggregate of what's going on. So for example, you have in for drywall replacement, your dry patch J and bullnose and some other things to call it totaling, you have lots of detail there. Call it totaling like $1,200. Well, the adjuster uses 2 line items, but they really overdid it on the measurements or something like that, and they're totaling like $1,500. You can now stack the individual line items to see, you know what, you may have used as the restorer more detail. The adjuster was maybe a little bit sloppy, but hey, they gave you more money. Let's just take it. Do the math for you. It'll show you the differences. Little things like that really help you make decisions better. We've been learning from some of our early users. We had some churn early on. I sometimes get embarrassed to say, but I've learned, just be real and honest. We had some churn early on where despite our marketing efforts, we're not geared at a silver bullet. We can do everything for you. We started getting a lot of people saying, hey, I thought LEVLR could do all your estimating for you and do all your negotiating for you and do one-stop shop, do it all. I'm like, I would love it to do that. And the industry is a long way from that. So we've dialed it back some to be sure that everybody's aligned and that if you are looking for a done-for-you solution, the estimate is created for you. You don't have time to do that. You need it to be discussed with the adjuster, blah, blah, blah. We got Elkmont estimates. No problem. I got a hammer for that nail. For the DIY person who wants to keep it in-house, we have a solution to augment for you. And, I've been asked about adding in like IICRC citations and stuff like that. I've been in contact with them trying to get a proposal approved to like build out an agent for them. But quite frankly, what's going on currently is not very good out there. Like if you look at any of the chat stuff now, it's usually either outdated or frankly make stuff up. And I want to provide good info. And I don't want to provide generic robot responses because I don't think we're already that far away from adjuster robots arguing with, the contractor restorer robots. Yeah. And when that happens, I think we remove all human quality from it. And so I think there's a place for it, but I'm nervous that we are going to just be demanding robot responses and take the human thought and care out of a human-centered restoration activity. And I'm not sure where it goes yet. So we don't necessarily have that note-taking stuff there. We have the ability to create custom notes. We don't have the ability to create agentic notes because I'm really not satisfied with what's out there so far. And you can train it, but I don't want restorers to become reliant upon it and remove the human element. I don't think that's a good thing.
Yeah. No, and from what I hear, we had an episode with Andy McCabe and Doug Weatherman about AI and what's happening. I mean, it's already happening. The AI, all the agencies and everybody's using these AI tools. It's learning at breakneck speeds, how to respond, how to deny, what to say, how to, with everything, with inflection and how you're speaking to it and responding to email. And they're already deploying robots out there to kind of like train themselves based off of how the insurance. So I can imagine, coming up with solutions right now when things are moving so fast is going to be a huge challenge. And I kind of tend to agree with you where maybe pump the brakes. Let's solve a problem right now. Keep it simple. Let's let the dust settle a little bit and let's reassess what is going to be needed out there. And, maybe do a little education in between. And then we figure out what the next steps are going to be when it comes to providing solutions for restorers. So I think right now with what LEVLR's doing is you're going to eliminate that waste. And for smaller guys, I don't want to say even smaller, for any company at all, it really just builds on scale depending on how big you are. The more waste, it just scales like that. So if you can save $25,000, $30,000 a year, that's you're talking about a salary of somebody bringing in, or bonuses, or a new car, or updating your equipment, or something like that. So I think that just the value that's providing there is understated, I think, a little bit.
We did a test with another restoration company, and I'm friendly with them, and they were using their own bot they created themselves.
Yeah.
And ours was, it's not going to sound like a lot, but call it 4% better. Not a ton, not in terms of percentage, but during the course of the annual revenue that they are working on, that 4% across all their revenue added up to about $150,000 a year in leakage. So small percentage adds up to a lot. And there's also something to be understood of a lot of the bots that are being built, or if you use a generic LLM, we are unsure of the security that is around it. And you can't, I'm not a lawyer, but I've been advised as to there are potential violations of Consumer Protection Act items in there, especially in like California, New York, stuff like that. If you just upload estimate documents to a Chat GPT or a Grok or something like that, you could potentially be violating Consumer Protection Acts. I don't know what the actual exposure is to a restorer versus an adjuster is probably higher, but do you really want to get caught with that? I don't know. This is built on our own platform where it's, far more secure. We know exactly where the data goes than a generic LLM.
No, I think that's important. I mean, we stress enough, having a digital marketing agency protecting your information is humongous. I mean, we're up against that too. So we one of the services we provide is, building websites for people. And, there's a lot of people out there you'll see at these conventions. It's going to be more and more prevalent. Like, oh, let's just vibe code something and let's get AI to just make you a website in 4 seconds. It's like, okay, well, why don't you start looking up all of the security issues that are happening with those websites right now? Your information is out there. It's easily hacked. It's just moving too quickly. There's too much unknown out there to really try to put all your eggs in that basket just yet. I do firmly believe that there's a lot of good use. I mean, we leverage AI tools for content, but we still have to spend the same amount of time. If we're producing 150 pieces of content for our clients every month, we still have the same size team overlooking that AI content to rewrite it and make sure that things are normal, because it is not perfect. It's only pulling from other human sources, so that, there is something to be said about that security wise for sure. I mean, to me, it's, people just, maybe it's understated, like how dangerous that could be, uploading somebody's, they get their house burned down and you're sending, pictures out there that's just accessible everywhere. And not only that, but the insurance agencies and the people that probably you don't want knowing some of the ins and outs of that stuff probably have access to that data too, if it's just out there. So no, I definitely understand that. So it's kind of a forewarning. We had kind of an ominous episode about a month ago that aired on YouTube. It's getting ready to get thrown onto all the streaming platforms now, but talking about just that, talking about, just be careful. It's friendly and happy now, and you think it's moving quick, and you might want to jump into it, but you really need to make sure you're educated on what the end result is going to be. End product. You may be able to spit a website out with a snap of a finger and a couple things there, but what happens to that site in 3 years? There's a reason that we have infrastructures in place with hosting and servers and all the security there.
Well, I question that as well. You can spin up an app so fast.
Yes.
As you said, vibe coding. I didn't even know what that word was until 6 months ago. That was. But what happens if your vibe coding app goes out of business? I personally think we are in some sort of AI tech bubble. Kind of we were our .com bubble. I think AI is here to stay. I think it's going to look vastly different in 5 years than it does now. What happens when your vibe coded app is hosted on whatever website and they can't survive on their $15 a month that you're paying?
They're services at the end of the day. They can go away. It's a service. That point is 100. You're 100% on the money with that point. It is a service. I'll relate it to my background building websites. People used to, there's themes that you can buy, right? So it's a restoration company in a box. You click it, you fill your information out, boom, you're good. And on WordPress, and it's great for 2 years. And then all of a sudden you've got to go and make an update because the site's broken. And you're like, oh, well, guess what? The people who created that theme aren't even a business anymore. So now you're starting over from scratch. So yeah, I agree. There's a bubble there. There's going to be a correction, hopefully not a huge overcorrection with this stuff. But I definitely see that. And it's really cool to see that you guys have your own code. You're hosted somewhere. You're protecting the info. You're keeping it simple. It's really good to see. So I did share your URL, LEVLR.com, short and sweet, hard to misspell because it's already misspelled a little bit. So it'll be easy for people to catch. Jeff, anything else? I know you mentioned beforehand, you've been hosting some webinars here to show people off this really cool, outside of, guys, listen, if you are at Experience, Jeff's going to be hard to miss. He's running around with a laptop in his hands and a really cool t-shirt. I know Jeff and I look really a lot alike, like we could be brothers and everything like that, but he'll be the one with the laptop running around, showcasing it off. It's really cool. And if they want to get more info, I know you mentioned some webinars, so why don't you go ahead and share some info for that real quick, if anybody's interested in learning more about LEVLR.
Yeah, I host informational webinars multiple times a week, 2 to 3 times a week at different times. I'll get you the website URL here afterwards. And yeah, I mean, just show up, join, ask questions, be engaged. I don't really do a hard sale. I mean, I am in sales, so I have to ask for a sale, but we're here to educate. You know, we've had people come back to us a month later and be like, you know what? I was up at 3 a.m. dealing with this. It's now time. And that's okay. We're here to help the industry grow and improve. And, you know, we're also going to start adding in, it's on our list of one last thing of like, as much as we are technology based, one of the other big asks from our LEVLR users, we're bringing humans back. And so we are going to bring in our human estimators and claims closure specialists to do webinars, just open forum for our LEVLR users where they can just ask things, because it doesn't seem to matter the size of the organization. Most restorers feel that they are in a silo and all their problems are unique to them. And I will tell you, we run $30+ million worth of claims every single year through Elkmont Estimates. Your problems are the same as everybody else's, exactly the same. And we want to help get you through them. So that'll be part of the service offering, as well as, you know, expert human help, because the human help, I think, is still really important. You don't always want to talk to a robot.
No, I love that. I mean, it's right along the lines of our culture here. I firmly believe in giving away the information and helping as many people out as you can. You know, so I do love that. I'm looking forward to hearing some information on that, and I welcome you to come back on the podcast with some of your people too, and maybe we can help answer some questions for everybody on a future episode coming up. So, as Jeff mentioned, he's going to share a URL to sign up for those webinars. I implore you, if you're struggling, if you're doing the estimating yourself, and you're in the field yourself, and you're doing whatever you're doing yourself, I think that this is something you should at least give him some time and let him show you this platform. He's super amped about it because he truly believes in it, and I believe in it as well, or you wouldn't be on here talking about your thing. He only paid me $3 million to come on here and talk about LEVLR. No, I joke. We like to bring people on here that are really trying to move the industry forward and changing the game with whatever it is, information software. So I do appreciate your time talking about Get LEVLR. If you check the show notes, and this is talking to the listeners, in YouTube, on social media, we will share that link to sign up for one of Jeff's LEVLR webinars here to learn how he can help you guys out with your business, reduce waste, give you guys some time back. No matter how much money you save, nothing's more important than time. You get to spend with your families, your kids, and it's just like one task that you can get off your shoulders, one plate that you don't have to worry about continuing to keep up on that stick and your plate spinning entrepreneurship. Jeff, thank you so much for coming on today. Is there anything else you want to share with everybody before we go?
Thanks for having me. If you'll be at the experience, I'll be around in my teal t-shirt. I'll be on a panel. Looking forward to meeting as many people as I can, shake some hands, say hello, and just talk restoration, really.
Yeah, I will be at the experience September 4th through the 6th. I believe I'm going to be out there in Las Vegas. It's a really fun event. If you don't like Las Vegas, you will like this event. I think there's a lot of people like Jeff out there that are just out to help and do their thing out there. Jeff, what day are you on the panel? So if people are going out there, they can check you out.
Oh, put me on the spot. I have to go look. I'll check my email account.
You'll be listen, there's an agenda online. That's the best way to look, because now I'm thinking about it. I forgot what day I'm going to be on a panel. I believe I'm going to be on the panel Friday.
I got to check with Kayla.
Yeah, I'll be on the panel Friday morning with some other industry titans, and I'm looking forward to being out there. Jeff, I'm looking forward to seeing you out in Vegas. Thanks for coming on today. That's it, man. Thanks a lot.
You bet. Appreciate the time.
All right, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Listen, check out GetLevLR.com and ElkmontEstimates.com if you need any help with estimating, or you just want to learn what this software is all about. I think it's a great idea. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys out at the experience in Las Vegas, September 4th through the 6th. That's when I'm going to be there. I know it starts a little bit before then, but doing a lot of traveling here for Ironclad Restoration Marketing, and I got some really huge news coming up pretty soon. So make sure you continue to check out the streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, all of the ones out there, Amazon Music, and of course on YouTube and our social media for that big announcement. We've got a couple other episodes that I cannot wait to get out to you guys. So until then, we'll talk to you later.